Are you ready to move to the fifth dimension, but you don't have a clue as to where to begin? Are you absolutely on board that it's all falling apart around you and you have to do something different and you feel in your heart, I'm ready to? But where do I start and how do I not lose the plot here? How do I not stay the course so I can actually experience real change fast? Well, my name's Sonia Choquette. Welcome to my channel. I'm so excited you're here today because my whole life has been dedicated to teaching people how to make a change from third dimension to fifth dimension consciousness. Step by step, not philosophy, not grand promises, but do this, have an experience, have a success, do this and this and this in a grounded way, because that's how we humans learn. And that's how my spirit guides who have been working with me for over 25 years, this particular group, the emissaries of the third ray, second octave of love, have been working with me and helping me write books and teach classes and channel for over all these years and really all my life. So if you're ready, I understand that we do need a guidance step by step. And I also want to point out how the fifth dimension you is showing up now, even though you may not have asked for it. For example, have you noticed all of a sudden things are falling apart that you didn't really expect? Let me give you a specific example. I have a client who I've known for years who came to me about 8 months ago. She had been married for a long time, over 30, 35 years. And she said, my marriage fell apart and my husband left me for someone else. And I didn't even know he had a someone else life. He's always around and very predictable. And it just shocked me. And I'm so upset. And I said, well, that's curious that you're that upset. What exactly are you upset about? She said, well, honestly, I'm not upset that he's leaving me because I've been over him for years. But we created a life together financially that is falling apart. And I don't know how I'm going to survive. Without his participation, life is going to get really stressful for me. And I said, or not. You don't know. You only project from what you know from the past. Why don't you use my book, Creating Your Heart's Desire, which was a channel guide in how to manifest step by step, with no skipped steps. She said, well, I remember that book. I haven't used it in ages, but why not? So I said, look, do yourself a favor and recognize the reason your marriage ended is because that's what you've had in your heart for years. I've heard for years you feel trapped, you're unhappy, you've tried to make it work, and now all of a sudden it blew apart. That didn't really happen to you, although you didn't initiate this consciously. You called it in energetically. And that's why this is happening. That's what's happening to people everywhere. I'll give you other examples in a minute. But she took my advice and got my book, Your Heart's Desire. And I said, pay attention to principle number 7, how to create an alchemy box, which, by the way, I have created a YouTube on that, so you can look at that following this. So what's an alchemy box? Well, basically, it's a vision board, but one step better. In that, think about a board is 2 dimensions. It's a flat surface. So you put all your visions on it, but it's a flat surface and it's limited energy. Now we go to a box. We have now moved to third dimension, which helps you understand dimensions as too. You have the flat surface and depth. So you're going to create the whole box inside and out using your consciousness. What do you want? How does it feel? What does it look like? You get to pick images. You get to take photos. It's like a collage all over, and take your time. But when you're gathering the materials, then I want you to play music while you're doing the box. You get the feeling and the emotion. You just can't say feel happy, but if you put on happy music, you spontaneously feel happy. So that's part of the process. So she did the alchemy box. And here's what she put on it. Now, this is a woman who lived in Minnesota and was a pharmaceutical saleswoman. I have a lot of clients like that. I guess one tells the other. Anyway, she said, what I really want, if I'm going to do this for funsies, she said, I want to live in the sun. I want to live in a beautiful, beautiful home that doesn't cost me very much money. I want it to be super affordable. I want a job that pays me really well, but I don't want anyone breathing down my back. I want it to be stress-free. I want it to be inspiring, where I look out the window and it's gorgeous. I'd like it to be near the sea. I've always wanted to live near the sea. I'd love nature. If there's nature around, I want it quiet because I've always wanted to write poetry. Now, this seems like quite a stretch, right? She said, and I want to be paid well without being asked a whole lot. I mean, if I'm going to go for it, why not go for it? Well, that was 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago. She created the box. Out of sight, out of mind. She just was telling me, she said, I don't know if I'm cynical or hopeful, but I did it. Fast forward, she calls me and says, guess what happened? She leaves a voicemail. I was at a book club that I had just joined about 6 weeks ago, just trying to take my mind off my misery. And while I was there, a woman I had never met just mentioned, just off the cuff, that she had been offered a job as a house sitter in Palm Beach in Florida. And she was laughing and pushing it away. She goes, I'm married, I have a family, why would I do that? And my client said, I will. So they started talking, and she said, please let me apply for the job. Give me the information. I know they don't know me, but we'll see. So she did apply for the job. The next thing she knew, she was hired as a house sitter for someone who owned houses all over the world, who had an estate in Palm Beach, who was there only 6 to maybe 8 weeks, at most a year. And her job was to oversee the estate, make sure the workers showed up, make sure the gardeners showed up, make sure the house didn't have any problems, just make sure everything went. They had horses she could go visit. They had an orchard. I mean, we're talking fantasy land. She got to live there for free and be given a salary. And she only answered to her boss via email. Miracle? Fifth dimension creation. My teacher once said, never assume that what you know is all there is to know, and that what you think is available is all there is to be available. So that's a miracle story. And like I said, she followed the steps that were channeled in my book, Your Heart's Desire, Creating the Life You Really Want. Now, the other major thing about creating the life you really want is we have to change our consciousness and basically start living with inner guidance. Now, that's another thing that really seems to challenge people, and I have addressed for years. Let me make it super simple. It's basically right now we are being asked about taking responsibility. We are being asked to take responsibility for our choices. Now, choices are made one of two ways. Either you follow your inner guidance, your spirit, your heart, your authenticity, your divine support, or you follow the guidance of the outer world, other people's impressions, approval, they say is possible. And we have to make that choice. And the challenge of making that choice is one, it's certainly not one we were ever taught to do, so it's a big change. 2, it asks us to take responsibility for ourselves, which for many is very big threat. And 3, how do we do that? That's a whole different way of thinking, to which my guides have channeled a super fast, super empowered book called 21 Days to Jumpstart Your Intuition. So this is basically the best of the best of everything I've worked on or written so far. 21 days, because it's that important we change our consciousness that fast and can. So here's the deal about this. And really the genius of everything that my channeled guides have given to me in all the books that I've taught is they make things very simple. Very complicated things don't need to be complicated. The ego complicates them. 1 step a day for 21 days. One doable, manageable, not crazy over the top, simple step for which you do the step and you get a result. You make this shift, this doable shift, because frankly, that's how we learn and change. Change to the ego brain spells annihilation. So it's going to push back. I know. For example, in my own life, I have wanted to start some kind of exercise program. I used to do yoga. It's like, do I want to do yoga? Well, yes and no. I like rhythm. I thought I'd like to do some kind of dance thing because I love to dance, but I just got lazy. I haven't done it in a long time. I walk every day, but I haven't done that. And I've been thinking about it for months. I've ignored it. I'm lazy. My brain doesn't want to change. I haven't done it. And then yesterday, that's it. I'm going to do it. You know, there's something in me that just thought, this is part of my fifth dimension acceleration to keep me spontaneous and available and young and open and receptive and happy. Dancing makes me happy. So I started this morning and I said, you know what? I'm going to start at 5 minutes a day. And I'm going to work to 20 minutes a day. And if I'm really having fun, 30. But I'm going to start at 5. So for the first 5 days, it's going to be 5 minutes. Because I have learned through my own guidance through these channeled books, we change one step at a time. Guess when I did 5 minutes of Latin salsa this morning, and I had a blast. I actually did 5 more extra minutes because it was fun. And it started my day happy. But it reminded me, if you make the goal too big, you're not going to do a thing, ever. So, to manifest your heart's desire, step by step, very doable, it works. Breaks the manifestation process down, what change of consciousness and what actions are going to bring in a new energy. And secondly, if you want to go from letting the outer world control you to letting your inner guidance control you, 21 days to jumpstart, activate your intuition, and awaken your most empowering super sense. And quite honestly, guys, we can't go forward without this. You can't live without your inner guidance taking over and hope to have any sort of success, satisfaction, connection, or peace of mind. You just can't. 21 days. Can you imagine? Try it just like she tried the Alchemy Box. And if you really want a super empowered shift, do both. So this you can get wherever you buy your books, 21 days. It's also audio. If you learn by listening, a lot of people do. Maybe you do. So you can just salsa dance and listen to it. Or you can do Kindle, or maybe you're the hardcore book. You need the physical. You know, we all learn differently. Same with Heart's Desire. We all learn differently, but step by step. This shift to the higher dimension isn't just some leap into Lululand, La La Land. It's a very guided, doable, approachable process of expanding ourselves from just living in that limited, fearful left brain that can only see everything out there in a limited spectrum of it's bigger than me and scares me, to expanding to the energetic truth of things, which quantum physics absolutely validates. This isn't like made up. We are all connected, and we are far more than just our physical selves. That is what the fifth dimension is telling you. You are a spiritual being with power. But that's a lot to absorb and apply if you're just learning. So we have to do it step by step. The part that is required in either case, learning to manifest, learning to let your inner guidance take over and become an empowered being, is your willingness. Bottom line, your willingness. And that's what I will help you with if you want to make these changes, creating your heart's desire, which look up my Alchemy Box on my YouTube channel because I show you how to do it. It's fun. It engages your inner child. This is fun too. 21 days to jumpstart your intuition. You should get this. Check it out because you can do that. And if you do one thing a day that way or one step with the heart's desire, you'll have a result. You will. You will. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thank you to the guides, the emissaries of the third way, have been the teachers who have written these books. They've written all my books. And I have known in all the work, whether it's this or through classes or through teaching or through online, whatever, it's step by step, so you can't fail. And that's the most important thing right now. Changing our consciousness threatens the ego, so it will fight back, and it will be lazy, and it will check out, and it will be snarky. It'll say, you're full of it, and what the heck, and la, 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 and you're so weird. Fine. I've heard that. Doesn't hurt me, but it does hurt you. Denying the change on this planet is absolutely no protection. Learning step by step not only is protection, but it's empowering and fun. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time, next week, next dimension. All my love.